Dual set. Heart to heart.
Noonas Podcast.
Noonas Podcast. Dimida.
Hey!
Welcome back to the Noonas Podcast. I'm your host, Jenny. And as with me always is my co-host, Ginny.
Jenny, yep. As usual.
As usual. And we are back again with another episode of the Noonas Podcast. And wow, we just kind of finally had a slower week.
Slower week,
quote unquote.
But this episode might be a whopper for some certain people in this area.
And by certain people, I think we mean you, but and we'll get into it. It will kind of, if you read the title of the episode, you understand why. Yes, we're getting into another Rookiepedia session today. This time tackling the monster group. No, not Monsta X. We're tackling the monster size group Nct and all of its subunits. So, and yeah, I think we needed a slew news week. Yeah, we needed a slow news week to, handle said group because there's a lot to dissect with NCT. So yeah, I think this was just a perfect week to do this, to kind of just deep dive into NCT and kind of get into all the different units and kind of understand like what makes NCT. But before we do that, and before I hand the reins over to Ginny, because I'm going to give Ginny control on this one, because she's like I said before, she's the bigger end.
I insisted on taking over the reins for a bit.
She's a way bigger end citizen than I am. So even though I will say, and I will say, look, doing research on this has made me a bit bigger of an end citizen. So, but before we get started on our Rookiepedia session, this week, although it has been a slow news week, before we get started, at least the last couple days, but we've had a slew of comeback announcements announced for albums that are becoming upcoming within the next month, honestly. Starting on Sunday.
Yeah, it's like they don't want to put their comeback in the January because it's been pretty much a dead month, other than Hyuna's and other girl groups like Dreamcatcher, using that opportunity to put their comebacks in January. But the rest, they just want to put them in February for some reason.
February into March, all of a sudden getting into the season here, we're now we're just going to start getting into the really big comebacks to start 2021, the bigger groups. So and the first comeback to get announced on Sunday, as they announced during their joint YouTube and VLive live stream Sunday during the day, is SHINee, which is one we've been both really been anticipating since all the members most of the members have finally completed their military service. And we finally got a legit announcement. They're finally going to drop an album.
Yeah, and I've been seeing their promo pictures on Instagram too. It looks pretty. I'm not gonna say minimalistic, but I'm just can't wait to see what kind of concept or what kind of ideas that they'll be bringing out for their long-awaited comeback after their military years. And I've been also helping out my friend since he's getting into the K-pop and researching more about different groups as well. So I've been helping him give out some SHINee songs that he could some listen to, and just give information about each member and some random videos about what makes them so endearing throughout the years, and so well loved by with everyone worldwide, especially with the former U.S. President Obama, because I think he picked SHINee as his favorite K-pop band. But we could explore more of that if we ever have a Rookiepedia of them next time.
Yeah, I think we definitely need to. SHINee is one of those groups we definitely need to have on a Rookiepedia session, because they are one of the stand-up groups of the second generation, and they are very beloved, and I agree they definitely need to have their own session here on our show. And yeah, this will be their 7th full album that they will be dropping on 2/22 called Don't Call Me. And so we get forward to that in a couple of weeks. So I'm looking forward to see what's going to come, what their comeback schedule is going to look like, and see what we're going to get from our 4 boys.
Oh yeah. I can't really wait. Yeah, oh my gosh, it's it'll be my first experience with SHINee is like their ongoing comeback, because like before that it was like, you know, revisiting their like classics and like their more recent ones before they went off to do their service.
Same here for me. I kind of just missed them. I just missed them because I just missed them as they released Good Evening, which was their last comeback before they started the military service. I started getting to K-pop like as he was doing his solo work before he went into the military, and so I was kind of seeing he do his solo work, which his solo albums are really fun to listen to. So go check out his solo work. But yeah, that was the first of these comeback announcements we announced. So we skip ahead a couple days and we go to Wednesday, where we had 2 comeback announcements announced Wednesday, where I swear to God, he's going to kill me on Instagram, this man. Former Monsta X.
Oh no, I forgot about this.
Former Monsta X member Wonho is announced the second half of his solo debut is coming on February 26th. Love Synonym Right For Us. So yes, more of the thought himself and his abs.
Muscles that he's gonna like expose himself with. I've been seeing his freaking workout, like his pictures, and I don't know. I think he got bigger, like way bigger than from his like Open Mind era. I was like, what the hell is happening? He's like freaking roided out.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. The last picture I just saw where he's laying and like you really see. Yeah. It's
like a literal Hulk. Like I'm serious. I'm not like attract. Well, you know, he's a good-looking guy, but I'm just more intimidated more than like getting turned on by it.
Same here. I will say this. I'm a little more intimidated than I am turned on to this point, because it's just like it's getting to the point it's the opposite, where it's like hot and then I'm intimidated. Although I'm not gonna lie,
away from me.
Although he just had posted a video because it had just snowed in Korea earlier this week again, and apparently the hot thing is the duck maker. Because Namjoon did this with BTS the last time. He also got the snowmaker, and he was out. Like apparently, the member, like his staff, was in a meeting, and so he decided to go out on the patio and made like a bunch of snow ducks and shaped them in a heart in front of the door. And it's adorable because you see this big hulking man just out in the snow in like shorts, socks, and sandals, and his winter coat, and like it's the stupidest like childish thing. It's I don't know why I found it endearing.
The kid, like the kid was just like playing out in the snow while the adults are just meeting, like trying to like work on his project while he's just waiting outside, like just making snow ducks. This big buff man like making snow ducks.
Yeah, pretty much. So it was just like, so prepare for that that hot mess to come wreck us on. What's interesting is that this is actually debuting on a Friday, which I've noticed a lot with Starship, that they've been doing a lot of their releases on Fridays. Like, 'cause, I mean, even Monsta X too, like they've been doing their releases on Fridays. So, because I know they've been pushing a lot of the promotion for them for the US, which again, a lot of US promotion, they drop albums on Fridays. So interesting marketing, but we'll see how that turns out. So expect that to happen. And then another comeback that was announced that I think got a little bit quietly swept under the radar, because obviously Wonho, another group that I've been kind of slowly following a little bit, especially because of their competition on Road to Kingdom. on and off, ONF, also announced their comeback, also on the 3rd, and they're going to be coming back with their first actual full-length album. They've been around since 2017, and they're finally having their first complete full album being released sometime, they said, at the end of February. They did not release a date. They just said they're going to have a full album sometime before the month is out. To note, they haven't released anything new since August as well. So it'll be very interesting to see what's going to be coming from them, especially with the first full new album. Hopefully it's nothing like a hot mess like we had with One Us. And it's actually something a little more cohesive. But I do dig, I've listened to some ONF stuff, and I do like what I hear. So, and I did really like their last comeback with Some Could Fit Swimming. That was really, really very interesting song. Very experimental song, and I really liked it. So that one, I'm looking forward to seeing what that entails. But then, and then yesterday,
last
but not least, as yesterday rolled around. I'm so sorry. So I was teasing Ginny all day yesterday with this. As we're recording on a Friday. It was recorded. They announced this yesterday. This came out of nowhere for me. Ateez finally announced their comeback. They are coming back with another mini album. I'm assuming it's a mini album. They haven't announced, but I can only assume it's a mini album. They're going to announce new music coming on 3/1. So that's in a couple weeks as well. They've already been announcing some more kind of cryptic like pictures and stuff, which is kind of how they were announced their last album. So it seems like this is very similar into their whole Zero series. So this is kind of the continuation of this whole arc that we're in currently in their storyline. Also to note too, they did put out a statement today, also the day we're recording, that Mingy is actually still going to be on hiatus during the comeback. They met with him, his parents, the doctors and everything. They actually were able to record everything before he went on hiatus. So his voice will be on the album. So his raps and stuff, he will be on the album. So we'll hear all 8 of them on the album, but he will not be participating in the comeback. So it'll be a little
choreography, like a performance.
Yeah, so we'll have him in the discography. We won't have him performance-wise, so it'll be very interesting to see who's going to cover for him. I have a feeling it's probably going to be dual again, Hongjun and Songhwa, probably covering for him, kind of like what they've been doing currently. I know a couple of my fellow Ateenies have been like, it'd be kind of hilarious if they carry a cardboard Mingy around, like kind of like how BTS was carrying a cardboard Suga around while he was out. But I'm also really happy that KQ put out a statement, and the Fan Cafe put out a statement saying that, you know, that they're actually like met with him and like they talked about this exclusively, like, and that he's like, they said, yeah, he's making progress, but they said at this time, like, we feel like if he went back out, like it would be more detrimental to his health. So like, I really applaud them that they are taking the time to make sure like he is like that he will be ready to go when he's ready to come back.
It's
and
very
like,
understandable. Yeah.
It's very understandable with anxiety. So like major props to KQ Entertainment for, you know, at least appreciating like their idol's mental health.
Yes,
So,
for sure. And not like pushing them into like coming back and like some like, you know, some companies would like treat like other artists. And I'm glad that they're more patient with their artists and giving them all the time that they need just to help them recover.
Yeah, I mean, it's only been about, let's see, I think Mingy announced he was leaving, it was in November, so it's only been a couple months. So again, I get it. Anxiety is a funny thing. So, and yeah, I mean, obviously take all the time he needs. We're obviously, I think it's going to be a little weird having them as 7, especially because they are really like, they're kind of like BTS where, you know, it's all 8 of them or nothing, but I think they'll make it work. They've made it work while they've been gone. But, yeah, yeah, I'm very curious to see. Also, I'm very curious to see how this how this era is going to continue in terms of their storyline and in terms of their music too, because they always tend to leave us crumbs in their music to tease us for the next album.
Yeah.
Whether it's lyrics or whether it's instrumental notes. So I'm very interested to see what they had left us for the future. So.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's only the beginning. And I'm assuming we're going to have more comeback news happening. I know there's a lot of Generation 2 groups now that are completed the military who have been talking about having comebacks. So I have a feeling we're going to be starting to dive back into a lot of Gen 2 groups that are making full comebacks. I know like 2 p.m. has talked about making music. I know Big Bang has talked about making music and releasing music. So we're going to definitely be talking about
the renaissance, like a renaissance of the second gen.
Yeah, we're going to definitely be having to do our research here coming up with the music. But I guess before we have to do that, let's actually maybe dive into something we do know. And let's go, let's get into our Rookiepedia session for the day. And let's get into this experiment that's called NCT, shall we?
Yeah, we should have like some kind of like music or like some like segment music that will like go towards our different segments.
We should. If everybody wants to make a segment music, royalty-free segment music, because I don't know how to do that. Hit us up. Please, Noonas Podcast at gmail.com.
Yeah,
please.
Like see if we can work together on like creating some like music for us, and we'll see what we can do about this.
We'd be immensely appreciative of that. So, totally hit us up. We actually have an email, too. If you also have any show questions or comments or concerns, noonaspodcast at gmail.com. So, hit us up. But yeah, let's get into this Rookiepedia session, shall we? NCT. Noonas.
Okay.
We're going to do this.
We're going to do this. Okay, so let's just take it back to, let's see, almost like 5 years from now to 2016. And you see like a fairly new group under SM Entertainment who started out as 5 members. So these 5 members were NCT. So they debuted with their opening track, which is called The Seventh Sense. And other than that, you see here like 5 years from now, like when you go to 2020, these 5 members went on to become 23, making them the largest K-pop male group current as it stands. And so you're wondering, how the hell did these group like get like so many members? So to explain about this concept and what they are identified as, so NCT is the abbreviation of the term Neo Culture Technology, and it is based on a concept made by the CEO of SM Entertainment, which is Lee Soo-man. He said that their idea is to gain an infinite number of individuals under one umbrella, so it's like under one brand, which is NCT, and they create a more diverse inclusion of members outside of Korea. So right now with NCT, they have members from Korea, China, and other like branches like Hong Kong, Macau, Thailand, Japan, and even couple of people from North America, Canada, and the US. And what they do is so they won't coop them up into one 23 member team. They would scatter these people and operate through different subunits, which we have 4 active subunits. So we'll get into the main Korean lineup, which is called NCT 127, who debuted in 2016. And just a fun fact, 127 is the longitude coordinate of Seoul, South Korea, hence why they're called the main Korean lineup. So they consist of the leader, which is Taeyong, who is pretty much the leader of like the whole NCT. Mark, who is the Canadian, their main rapper. Jaehyun, Johnny and Yuta. They act as the rapper and vocalist at the time. And we have the rest of the singers, which is Taeil, Doyoung, Haechan, and Jungwoo. Okay, so that would make them nine members. Am I correct here, Jenny? Just counting. I'm not good at math.
Yeah, I think that's all 9 members of NCT 127. We're talking the current members because at one point, Win was part of 127 as well, and we'll get into why he's not part of 127 now.
Yeah. He moved out. He moved out somewhere, but going on, another group who also debuted in 2016 is Nct Dream. So what they are is they're like the younger age members. So what they do is they create more of the youthful and innocent sound of NCT. So you can hear their like sound are more like upbeat and more cheerful, right? More
teen pop kind of music,
teen bopper. But some of like when they grew older, like their music also matured with them. So that's actually good to hear. Mm-hmm. So the members are Mark and Haechan, who came from 127, but they've also like worked with the Dream members. So that's them. Jeno, Jaemin, who are the rappers. And we have the singers, which is Ronjun and Chenlei, who are the Chinese members. So NCT Dream are like a mix of Chinese and Korean. And Jisung, who is considered the maknae of the entire NCT. So maknae means like the youngest member. So he's like their dancer, their rapper, and their vocalist. Okay, moving on to NCT Dream. We got a couple of years later, NCT decided to create another new unit, which is WayB, also known as WayShenB. In 2019, they are the Chinese sub group of NCT. So what they do, obviously, promote and perform music in Mandarin mainly. So the leader of the group is named Kun, who is also like a vocalist, and then we have 10 Win, who mostly act as the dancers and singers. Xiaojun, who was, I think, is probably like the main vocalist of the group, and then the rappers are Lucas, Yang, and Henry. And the fourth subunit, this one will be a bit complex to explain, is NCTU. The reason why I said like a bit difficult to explain because this is the most flexible subunit. So there is no permanent like lineup in this form because this lineup always varies from like different songs and whoever like which member fits like a certain concept. So whenever something is labeled NCTU, you're gonna notice like different members in like every song. So you gotta like remember that. So there have been like significant instances where all these subunits would come together and create like joint albums. So we had in 2018 where like 18 members came together to create the studio album Empathy.
Yeah. So let's stop there for a second. So let's rewind. So, because again, WayB did not debut until 2019. So at the time, NCT Empathy came out in 2018. Some of the members were not in Empathy, and I think the members that weren't in Empathy were
They're trying to think.
They were still rookies at that point. I'm trying to remember who was not in Empathy.
Xiaojun, Henry, and Yang weren't there yet.
Right, but they were not officially debuted. But yeah, because Lucas
and Kun were there.
Right, and they were part of that joint session where all 18 members currently of NCT were coming together to create this album where they had basically a bunch of unit tracks which were grouped as NCTU, and then they had massive tracks where it was all 18 of them at one time.
At one time. And yes, thank you for that, Jenny. Thank you for clarifying. And the last one where they performed together or make the group efforts was last year, 2020. It wasn't not too long ago, where
we covered down here on the show, Residents.
Yeah, parts 1 and 2. And so in that era, it was when they added 2 brand new members named Jung Sung Chan, who is the Korean and like the position is a rapper, and Sung Chan, who what makes him the second Japanese member outside of Utah, and he's
You're talking about YouTube Shotaro.
Oh,
You're talking about Chinese.
sorry. Oh, sorry. I think I saw like Sungchan in my notes. But okay, so Sungchan, the Korean and the rapper position, and Shotaro, who makes him the second Japanese member outside of Utah, and his position is main dancer. So right now there are about 23 members of this one big of a monster group, NCT. And so this is where we are right now. I'm not quite sure what else you can like add into the whole basic information here, Jenny.
Yeah, no, so basically, yeah, so NCT is kind of a funny thing. So you can they kind of play this more experimental thing where they kind of like you can kind of pick and choose which sound you want. Like especially with the NCTU tracks, where like especially because all the tracks are different, and so every track has a unique sound to it because the vocals are different depending on the combination of artists you get on the tracks. But yeah, they're also growing too. There is no limit to the amount of members that are going to be added to NCT. There is rumors that there is going to be yet another unit added this year. To NCT, rumor has it, and citizens have been kind of speculating on the internet that it might be a Japanese subunit. We're thinking, considering that there is
really makes sense. Yeah, it really makes sense because we got like the Chinese members, and now like there's like more growing members of the Japanese with Yuta and Shotaro, and with, even like Sungchan, even though he's a Korean, that for some reason he started like speaking in Japanese at like some parts of like the promotion. So like people are like doing on their cards like their drawing boards, and then like started like trying to line up like any theories that we may have like we have a Japanese more Japanese members along the way. So it's just pretty crazy.
Also considering too that the success of WayV was very, very successful. I mean, in the 2 years that WayV has been out, they have been immensely successful. I think in both the Chinese market, the Korean market, even in the Western market too. Like WayV is very successful, I think, over here in the States as well.
Yeah, so, I'm like so pleasantly surprised at how much like they've been receiving awards ever since their debut, and yeah, I really hope it like motivates them into SM Entertainment to like treat like the Chinese like members, even like the people who are non-Koreans like better, since like the company had like issues before and like dealing and like trying to like give like an equal amount of like merits for like their Chinese members before, because like if we could like discuss further with EXO one time in the future, like you'll see like some of like the members who have come and gone because of those issues at the back.
Yeah, let's also note too that NCT is also the group that debut after EXO and after EXO's drama too with its Chinese members, and we'll have to definitely touch with EXO. EXO, I think, is another group we need to touch on with Rookiepedia because they are one of the kings of the third generation. I think they were probably the kings before BTS.
Yeah, before BTS, it was EXO.
Before BTS took that crown, it was EXO.
If I can, but like what I love about this group in general with NCT, you said like it was like like they've done a lot of experimental sounds, which I totally appreciate, and that's like what's one of the instances that made me interested, and they're like started looking into K-pop. It was with NCT first before BTS, and I think it was like Ateez at the same time where I started looking at their videos. But NCT, the moment I heard like one of the sounds, and then I can like instantly hear like, whoa, this is pretty different from what I've like thought of how K-pop would have like sounded like. So that's what I love, and then like I love how they like incorporate a lot of like world elements of like music, so not just like taking a lot of Western style of music, but also trying to mix it and blend well with like other like genres too. Like they have like a bit of R&B at their side and a bit of like old school hip hop, and yeah, and then like a bit of like some balance at the side in some of their tracks is just like it makes them like, you know, totally diverse in what makes them the concept that they're like supposed to like be defined as like neoculture technology. So yeah, that's what, you know, like what I think about like NCT in general.
Yeah, they blend a lot of like this like they blend a lot of like electronic futuristic sounds. Like there's a lot of electronic distortion you find in their music, but then they do blend in a lot of like different world sounds. Like you see a lot of there's a lot of hip hop, a lot of R&B, a lot of Korean elements, a lot of tropical stuff, like kind of like this interesting hodgepodge that they experiment with. Because they're very, again, I agree, they are an experimental group in terms of just their structure and their sound. Like you see that in almost all their albums, even from their growth, like from their debut with, you see even the debut of like The Seventh Sense. Like The Seventh Sense is such a unique song, like one of the hardest songs I think to ever choreograph, hands down.
Yes, most definitely. That's like one of like the things that people yeah, that what really like pushes like a lot of like the dance styles and, you know, choreographies to the max. It was like thanks to NCT, and just when there were like just like 5 members in that group, and then just see how they evolved from there. It's just amazing, and how like synchronized that like they would be too when they're like all together and like performing. It's just like massively impressive. It's just to see them and just like see their improvements and see their growth throughout the time.
It is, especially seeing them grow from, you know, with Nctu and Dream, and what, you know, how those 2 unique sounds have started and how they've grown, and then adding Wavy and their unique sound, and how I think Wavy, they had a very unique sound to start immediately, and they've like, I think they latched on immediately with their sound, and they've just hit the ground running right away and just gone with it so well. Like Wavy had me at the beginning when they debuted first in 2019, because 2019 was like, I think the point of like when I was really starting to get into K-pop, because like I was starting to get into in 2018, and I agree BTS was one of my first groups, but also was NCT too, because there was a lot of that was coming up a lot on my Spotify, but yeah, so it was around that time too, because Empathy was just coming out. So like I was hearing a lot of the stuff on Empathy. So, you know, Boss and Black on Black and a lot of those unit songs. And then you hear Wavy come in and the Chinese unit, and just how that really clicked for me. And then it was just a deep dive into NCT, and you know, getting into it.
And then what I love is just like, even though like what I'm really amazed by is how like each of like the 3 the 3 like permanent groups, they have like their own sound that makes them like their own like different thing, but they still have like some elements that, you know, help them connect, that they're like part of like the NCT family, like the universe, like as you can say it. Just like some of the elements. Do
we want to get into like kind of like what distincts each of the groups separate, like NCT 127, NCT Dream, Wavy? Do we want to kind of get into that?
For sure.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure. So maybe you can do it first, because the honor goes to you.
Oh, yeah. Well, let's maybe get into the Korean one first. Let's get into 127. Since that, you know, this is the big K-pop one is 127, and they've really, I think, been pushing, and I think they're starting to definitely finally, I think, get a lot of success here in the States immensely, which that has been a long time in coming. Especially even to like as NCT as a whole, like they won a bunch of awards to these last award cycles, I think, because of Resonance, which again I think was totally worth it. The Resonance was a great album, a great pair of albums.
Yeah, and it pretty much like brought like some hype, like just to see how many people they can add to, and just like how they can like all work together.
Yeah, and then just to have this nice flow to that, all these different units come together and still keep that NCT sound. So, but let's get to 127. So 127 again is the Korean branch of NCT. Currently 9 members. with let me go back to 127 here. So and 127 right now again is Taeyang, which is again the leader of 127. Taeil, Johnny, Yuta, Do Young, Jaehoon, Jungwoo, Mark, and Haechan is the current lineup of 127. Their sound is, I'd say, very. I've they've been playing a lot like electronic stuff, but like
electronic. A bit of rock too, and like more of like a bit of dubstep as well too. It's like they're more the EDM heavy.
They play a lot with EDM, especially. I think you see a lot of that too. I think they saw like a lot of success with Cherry Bomb. That was when they really clicked. Is when Cherry Bomb came out, and that's when they saw a lot of success. Is with Cherry Bomb, back in 2017. And Cherry Bomb, I find some people like Cherry Bomb, some people don't. And I think that was what make or breaks people into being NCTzens.
I actually was kind of like a bit put off with like how the how the composition of like the song was produced. Like I can tell like some of the friends that I've introduced, like NCT, since they're so experimental, that like they were kind of like thrown off with some like how like the rhythm would like go and like transition into another like style. So like NCT is like a very not hit or miss, but like it's something that like, people would be really more subjected to. From time I was getting used to like Cherry Bomb, and I started to enjoy it as a whole.
Yeah, you kind of, they do play a lot with like changing of the beat and like catching you off guard. Like it definitely is not for everybody. And it kind of almost has to grow on you a little bit. I know it definitely kind of caught me off guard too when I first listened to Cherry Bomb. But I really liked it because I really do like Cherry Bomb. I really do like Simon Says, like that whole kind of era where they kind of play with those kind of changing of the beats and kind of the distortion. And then even coming into like, I think the most successful stuff as a date, with their most recent stuff they released last year with Neozone, and then the re-release that they released, and then their upcoming tour that unfortunately got canceled because of COVID. Actually had friends who luckily got to see them in Houston because they got to perform at the Rodeo Houston in Houston, Texas, like right before the country shut down due to COVID. And they were the first K-pop group to actually perform at Rodeo Houston. So that must have been very interesting. It was a very interesting audience, but I know they were very, very excited to go see these boys at the rodeo. But yeah, I mean, Neozone was a great album, their most recent album that they released last year, that they saw a lot of success here in the States, I think, because they actually debuted at number 5 on the Billboard 200, which is their most successful album here in the States to date. Because that played with a lot, again, of electronic sounds, but even with Kick It, because I kind of like the whole like using the whole like the fight, kind of like that fight like choreography. We were joking how like this should be used for like a Marvel fight scene, like
Shang-Chi would be like the most perfect like opportunity for them to like use that.
Exactly.
I made a damn YouTube video of Shang-Chi with like putting like NCT's Kick It at the background music.
It would be perfect for it. So yeah, I mean, I really like N27 is just, yeah, I agree. They're not for everybody, but an acquired taste.
Yeah, and I think what I would distinguish like NCT 127 apart from like with Dream and Wavy is they use like a lot of like more booming elements into like their music. Like in their vocalizations, they're more into like heavy like marching band chants and like more into like their rap and leaning more into hip hop. And that's what I can distinguish them. Whereas like with Wavy, they're more of like an opposite end of the spectrum. And I think NCT Dream is like maybe at the middle. I'm not quite sure if you agree with that sentiment, but maybe if we can exemplify it further.
Yeah, no, I agree with that because I really feel like they definitely utilize Taeyong and Mark's raps a lot in 127. Like they are definitely like the focal points. And then I think like the most person they use the most is probably Haechan's vocals because I feel like he's the strongest vocalist in 127.
I think Tail too, and Tail and Doyoung too.
Yeah, like they're probably the more strongest vocalists that they utilize. But again, I feel like the brunt of it is definitely focused on the rap that both Mark and Taeyong use, and just their style of rap because Taeyong's rap it feels very dirty.
Yeah,
I guess
like
for lack of a better term,
sleazy and how I would describe it.
Yeah.
Yeah, then like Mark like represents like more of like the adolescent voice of the group too, and yeah, like their voices really like blend well, like it meshes well together.
Yeah, which is a reason why they're both in Super M together. So
yeah, they're like partners in crime.
Yeah, they pretty much are. So, yeah, I mean, I always see them getting more and more success. I'm assuming we're probably going to get more music from them this year. I mean, they're dropping a Japanese album later this month, the month that we're releasing this episode. So we're seeing more music coming from 127. But I guess we move on to Dream next, since that was the next unit to get announced. Because they got announced around the same time as 127. And what was unique about Dream is that, again, it was the teenage unit, and they were kind of serving this unit as kind of like, I don't want to say as like a training ground, because obviously you have the trainee program, in K-pop where, idols, they train to debut. But like this is going to kind of focus like as like for the younger members to kind of come up and like serve as like a jumping point, and then I think have them launch into like other subunits, I think.
Yeah, that was like the main like idea that they were about to do with Dream. Like it's not going to be like a permanent lineup, and whenever like the person or like the member reach a certain age of like adulthood, quote unquote, they were about to like move into other like groups, either like with Wavy or with 127, which they were about to do with Mark, but they changed their minds at the last minute.
Yeah, so because what happened is eventually, like, because Mark was the oldest of the Dream lineup, and so when he reached 19, in Korean age he reached 20, because again Korean age works a little differently than international age because it's very weird math that I'm not going to get into because I still don't even understand it. But basically, so he graduated out. So for like a year, Dream is only consisting of the other 6 members. And so of Renjun, Jeno, Haechan, Jaemin, Chenli, and Jisung. And so for a while, for the like 1 year, it was just the 6 of them. And so then they kind of went back to it, and they're like, well, they were, because the thing is, Dream is receiving a lot of accolades. Like they were consecutively getting awards. They were consecutively getting like listed on Billboard's like 21 under 21 list. Because they were getting a lot of recognition, just like for their songwriting and just like their impact on music, because of just their lyrics and just their musical impact. Because they were for teen music, they talked about a lot of really important stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was like kind of like transition from like from childhood era to like becoming an adult, like some kind of like coming of age type of theme there that they do.
Yeah, stuff like that, like kind of like BTS was doing. So like there's a lot of success to that. And so like with the 7th of them, I think again their vocalization, because they've definitely were more heavily on the vocals than the raps. Yeah. And that, although I can still distinctly hear Mark's raps, but they definitely more are focusing on the vocals. Like Haechan's vocals I think are more focused on in Dream. But so that is kind of, so it gives it a little bit of a different color.
Yeah, I do notice like how the rap feels like more into like at the minor side, like not the background, but like more of like a minor like presentation of it.
Yeah, it's not like a flourish onto it. I mean, it's still integral to the song, but it's like it's not as like as dependent on like it is as like as a 127 song. I guess, if for, you know, an example. So, but I mean, even say that though, but I mean, if you're like, we're like, oh, it's like very teeny stuff, like it's still very good music. Like I still like, it's still very, it's still very mature stuff. Like they're still like maturing, like as they grow and they become older. As like I said, for the young, again, the maknae of the group, Jisung, has literally today, as we're recording, just turned 19 and is now legally an adult in Korea. Congratulations, congratulations, Jisung. So they're growing in their sound and in their music. So it's very fascinating to see them grow from, like, you know, the more innocent stuff, like when they debuted with Chewing Gum, to I know their debut song was called Chewing Gum, and it's very, very, very innocent sounding, and it's a very innocent song.
Yeah, they look like children. They look like 7-year-olds when you like look back to them, and now like they like more grown adults too. It's like, wow.
And you look at something now like Raiden, and you're like, wow, where did this happen? Like, what happened in between those songs? But they've grown, and it's fascinating to see where they've grown, and it's nice to see them kind of come back as all 7 of them, because I think them as a unit have really cohesively grown nicely together.
Yeah, I don't know what else to say. I think like Nct Dream was like more of my like things I need to like learn more from, because I don't really have like much of like things that like I was like into like I think I like their hits and all that, and like hopefully I will like, you know, really delve in more other than 127 and Wavy. So yeah, but I just like you know what? Whenever I explain like the Nct Dream to like some like new fans, I just call it the kids bop of the Nct. but they have grown from what they have. But I think I'm so glad they're able to keep like a more of like an innocent sound into their music, because you would heard like a bit of that with the playfulness when they were all together in Resonance from the one track Deja Vu.
Right.
Which it's like you can hear like how it's like they still retain that element of like that childhood like whimsicalness, but it made it like it feels more grown up like with their with their age. So yeah, I'm just really amazed with like the development thus far.
And then you get into Wavy, and then you get into the song they had on Resonance, which was Nectar, and you're like, wait, this is also part of the same umbrella of groups, excuse me?
Yeah, I think they're more like mature in their content. But some of their songs like have more like a bit of a sexy vibe into them, but that's I don't know why I'm like so leaning towards this. I don't think that's part of the reason, but we can like go ahead with like with Wavy, and then what makes them like the different other than them being Chinese.
Yeah, no, yeah, but besides Wavy obviously being the Chinese subunit, it's also interesting too, the way obviously they don't have the NCT sublabel under them. Obviously there's a lot of speculation because again of the South Korean Chinese relations, to possibly distance themselves so then people possibly like don't realize, oh, it's a you know, South Korean product, but we're smart. But we're still smart. But still, I think they just have this very unique sound to them that like they bring in that electronic sound to them, and they but they tie in, like I think they have that perfect balance of like where where 127 has focus on the rap and where Dream has focus on the vocals. I think they blend theirs together very well.
Oh yeah. I think like there's just more like the more harmonized like composition in their production of music, and then that like they don't like really lean too much of like the heavy parts of how 127 and maybe even some Dream would like utilize at times, and they're more of like their music really like flows like water for some reason. That's how I like describe, especially with like their recent album Awaken the World. I just like I was able to get into because I was able to groove and like be able to like adapt with like their music more, and it's just like I think they're like the more recommended in terms of people getting into like the NCT as a whole. I think Wavy would probably be my like recommended like group to listen to first, so you can like be able to get into it smoothly, and then listening to the more experimental with like Dream and 127.
Yeah, I agree with that too. Like Wavy, like they have just this great. They have a really great production behind them, and I really hope that they utilize because they've been currently teasing. So NCT, I would say this too, across the board with NCT, with all their subunits, they have an insane amount of content on YouTube between all their YouTube channels, between NCT as a whole, as well as all their subunits between 127, Dream, and Wavy. Currently, they're doing what they call their relay cam, where they literally had a day in January where every single member had recorded an hour of their day. And Wember had recorded an hour for 2 hours, and that was 10. Which he literally played his cats. He literally played his cats for 2 hours.
2 hours? Really?
That's literally what 10 did.
Worked hard on like some like certain like activity, like with Sunshine making like crafts, but then they did it within 1 hour to like 10. Like this
literally 10 literally woke up like right before, because this was from 2 to 4, and he literally woke up and literally like played with his 2 cats and the dog, because they have because seriously, the Wavy dorm has like a ton of pets. Like they keep getting noise complaints.
Yeah,
they keep getting noise complaints. The Wavy dorm, also to know, the Wavy dorm is also the most chaotic dorm out of all the NCT dorms.
Oh yeah,
and you'd be surprised because 127 might rival them too. In terms of like insanity.
Wild, man. Like even especially if they're like all together, like they're like so. It's like so unruly at times. I think they like may at least rival like GOT7, just like the 7 members themselves, a bit versus 23. Dear Lord.
And you wonder how Taeyong hasn't gone completely crazy yet as the mother of the group. Anyway, back to my original point. No, I was going to say with the relay cam, June's hour had come up, and June is actually showing how some of his producing skills, because he has done some music producing, and I'm like, I hope they utilize. Oh, Kun. Yeah, I'm sorry, Kun. I'm hoping that we get some of Kun's producing skills soon with Wavy's future stuff, because obviously they've been doing a lot of stuff with SM, obviously with SM's in-house staff, and obviously with the Chinese side of SM.
Yeah. If I could add, like how like some people would think, how like K-pop members are being like molded by like what the higher ups would want to make them as, and then the creative input is more of like the studio instead of like the group in themselves. But I think with the help of BTS's influence, I think like NCT is able to like break with that norm, since they're allowing newer members, like Wavy, they debuted like late, but they're able to allow Kun to produce and like hopefully create his own music and be of help with Wavy. So I'm just really glad to see that they're allowing younger people to like have creative liberty to their work.
Yeah, and hopefully showcase their work too, because I mean, he was just literally just playing around with beats on his computer, and it was really fascinating to see him just playing around with the beats. And he came out with some like really cool stuff with it's just the 1 hour he's just kind of BSing around, because they were currently just like they were all like recording. So I'm assuming we're gonna get more Wavy music soon, because they were all in the studio that one day they were recording relay cam. So something's happening with Wavy. Considering Awaken the World just came out back in June, so it's been a while since we got any Wavy. But yeah, I mean, I guess Wavy is, I think, a really good jumping point into NCT. Yes, it is a Mandarin.
They're the gateway. They're like the gateway.
They are a really good gateway into the sound of NCT, because they do play again with a bit of that electronic sound, but it's a really good balance. And I think just Awaken the World itself is just a really solid album, a really solid like first debut that they got, because they had they basically had like a couple mini albums, and then we got a first full album within a year from Wavy, which was pretty impressive, I think, for,
Yeah,
a
absolutely.
unit. So, and I don't think there's a single skip on that album. In all honesty. So
yeah, same here. Even like the least favorite of mine, I'm not able. I wouldn't like allow myself to like stop and then like go to another like song that I would like, rather much listen to. I just like appreciated like every single track and just like listen to them like throughout like from beginning to end. It just that's how like impressive and how amazing that they're able to succeed in just like what 1 to 2 years.
Pretty much. I mean, they just celebrated their second anniversary.
Yeah.
They just had a video celebrating their second anniversary where they literally maxed out the microphones to the point that they put regular over the microphones because they literally maxed out the microphones because it was too loud. So yeah, I mean, yeah, they're I think one of the really up and coming groups. There's a reason why they won quite a few awards just as their own subunit. They won awards.
Yeah, let this be like a point for like Korean, like the Korean media to be able to accept other other like things out of like outside of like their nationality. So like open more of like like Chinese and like maybe English for and hopefully Japanese if it's confirmed that we're gonna have like a Japanese subgroup. So hopefully.
That might be interesting. That might be interesting too, especially now that there's talk that Big Hit's going to be releasing a Japanese group too.
Yeah.
With some of them, with some of the runner-ups of Island, and now JYP2 is going to be having a Japanese group as well under their wings. So it's going to be interesting to see how, like, NCT kind of opening up this possibility where we're expanding the K-pop market into other markets and still
Asian demographics.
Yeah, exactly. And it'd be interesting to see too, again, who else is going to debut and how big this umbrella of NCT is going to be. And so, and like I said, I'm still like trying to memorize like faces to names. I'm still horrible. I'm getting better.
No, actually, it took me a year to finally like be familiarized with each member of NCT, and I'm just like astounded the way how I like finally got to know all of them and like get to like distinguish like their face. Like I know the face. Oh yeah, now I know your name. It's wow. I don't know because I was just too dedicated in watching some of their shows and just being able to like pinpoint like okay you're this name. Wow, that was amazing. It was a kind of an amazing experience for me personally.
It's achievements you reach once you become a K-pop stan. I mean,
yeah, exactly.
I mean, this is a huge achievement. If you can master like all current 23 names of NCT, good on ya. But as soon as they start answering,
you need a trophy for that.
You need something. But yeah, like I said, we're probably going to start getting more, especially if we do get that new subunit this year. Something tells me, because at this rate, I mean, all these subunits have been around 7 to 9 members. I mean, even 127 started as 7 members before we added more members to it.
Yeah, so I hope they like balance like the groups into like 7 to 10 members at the most. Because if they add more members in like 127, it's going to might be like too much, and then maybe outscale like the favor and like other like advantages apart from other groups.
And I think the good balance for groups I think is around that like
that range, 7
to 10 members. Like 17 pulls it off with 13 members. Like I don't know how, but they 13. Pull it off. But I mean, because we saw with Resonance when they performed that on stage at Mama with all 23 members, and like that was impressive. That's a feat in itself, and that was 10 minutes long.
Yeah. Can you imagine if they had more members? Like, how are they going to fit all of them into one stage, or how they can like try to like choreograph that kind of like amount of people? If you just imagine.
Yeah, I wait till we get to NCT 2022, because at this rate we're probably getting like a new NCT like massive group project every 2 years, because it seems to be the norm. Not the norm now.
Yeah. Hey, in the words of Mark, though, like in the possibilities of like the many possibilities and the possibilities of the possible stuff. It's like I read a video like from like Mark's like vocabulary of quotation or like like quotes from him. But oh yeah, it's kind of like a random thing. But to know like the fandom of NCT, they're called N citizens, or another name from them is called seasonies, like seasonies.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, you can also like refer NCT like Neo City or Neo Boys. So like some of the alternate names that are associated with NCT.
Yeah, and also apparently you can also call them N-City too. That's also because there's been a debate: is it NCT or N-City? So
like a
apparently
city of like
it's been both. So just to point it out there, I mean,
tomatoes,
yeah, I mean, either way, it's NCT. It's in my mind, it's NCT, but apparently it can go either way. I mean, I've heard they say both in songs, so who knows? Also, yeah, I mean, and also if you just search for like the slew of content they have on the internet, besides the amount of crack videos out there, because besides Mark being like the leader of the chaotic Canadian line throughout K-pop.
Can you believe like Mark is like the more hyperactive Canadian while Johnny is like the more mature older brother American member? Is it like, wait, that's not how the stereotype goes?
Also, Johnny's just hilarious. Also, Johnny's from Chicago, so Chicago, what up?
Yeah. I'm
not gonna lie. One of my favorite videos of them is Johnny, Mark, and is Johnny Young or Do Young, and they're at the fucking Target in Chicago because they're staying at Johnny's house for the night, and they literally left Do Young like in the Target, like they left him alone, and poor man does not speak English. So like they're like, let's see how long it takes till they find him, and it's like, you guys are jerks, because they're literally just going around like Johnny's hometown, because they were in town like for like one of the old tours, and they were like staying at Johnny's house, and just like it's hilarious, it's funny, but it's just hilarious to see them, just these three like K-pop idols just running around a Target.
Or them like just randomly like saying. Or they just them randomly like doing like the friggin' stupid like stupid trend like regular with the shrug, and just to have them like just show it off with to like random people who probably don't know NCT. It's just, oh my god, I get like secondhand embarrassment, or I just like even laugh sometimes, like how like they're embarrassing themselves sometimes. But they're kind of like kids though, like they're like younger, like so a lot of them are younger members, and like other people are like around my age group. So yeah, even like another show I would like recommend featuring NCT is like their recent variety show called NCT World 2.0. So you can have all the 23 members like play games and like do different challenges, and it's just like so hilarious. It's like you get to see them like hanging out, just act a damn fool throughout like those episodes.
There's a lot of chaos on that episode. I still need to finish watching that, but from what I had watched, it is chaotic insanity. It was great stuff that we got from Resonance era NCT. So before we go, that
really made my year though. That made my like brighten up my days throughout the end of the year. It's just so like they really were my joy, like my source of joy at the end of the year, despite all like the anxiety and the chaos that's just happening in like the real world. Like they were my go-to escape.
See, this is why K-pop brings us joy, you guys. Yeah. Just like little glimpses of joy for us in our lives, because sometimes we just need just like chaotic crackhead insanity, and this is what provides it for us. So yeah. But before we go and before we wrap up this Rookiepedia session, should we recommend our like, I guess, NCT songs we think you should listen to if you want to get a taste of their sound?
Yes, yeah, and then I think I would like have you go first, because I have a lot. Many of like our picks are like we're so mostly the same. I just like I just highlighted the things that like are like different, or the ones that you don't have. I could also like chime in and like include that in the list.
Cool. Also, I'm going to create a Spotify playlist, and I'm actually going to go back and do this for the BTS Rookiepedia session too. I'm going to make Spotify playlists for all of our future Rookiepedia sessions, so you have a nice cohesive way to listen to the music, just to kind of make it nice and easy for you guys to listen to this.
Awesome. And also like are the top 10 or like top 20 from like last year's
I still
music.
got to do that. I got to do that too. So I'm
Okay.
going to go ahead and go back and do that too. That is my project for this weekend, apparently. So,
Yeah, we got a lot of homework to do.
I got homework to do this weekend. Woohoo! It's fun homework. I like making playlists. So, but I'm gonna break it down to between all the different subunits, and I'm also going to include a couple honorable mentions for a couple of the NCTU songs, and I'm going to include the specific members who are in those NCTU songs at the end. But I'm going to first start with NCT 127.
Mm-hmm.
And I have quite a few with 127 because they have a pretty wide discography. They've been released quite a few albums, but
they're the longest group to be in to exist right now.
Yeah, I mean we've had almost 5 years of NCT 127. So but yeah, I highly recommend Highway to Heaven. There is both a Korean and an English version of Highway to Heaven. I do recommend both. Both are really good versions of songs. A little different in the translations, and you find that too. They actually quite have a lot of English and Korean versions of their songs. So just an eye out for that. But I kind of like that they kind of play with that language stuff too. Again, that whole neo-culture technology thing. I also like Superhuman, which I think is a very underrated single of theirs from 2018. I think it definitely kind of went under the radar for them. That I really, really liked. I mentioned this earlier. Simon Says I really, really enjoyed Cherry Bomb, Kick It from their last album Neo Zone. I really liked, as well as Sit Down, which is a B-side from that same album.
Oh yeah, that's my favorite from Neo Zone. Sit Down.
Mm-hmm. I remember you making a video, a crackhead video from Double Toasted to Sit Down.
Oh yeah, exactly.
I also like their debut song Fire Truck. It's very goofy and stuff, but I really do like Fire Truck. Not Alone is it's more of a slower song, but I do like some of their slower takes. That's one of my favorite ones of theirs. No Longer, and then Limitless as well as one of theirs more more energizing songs. Limitless.
Yeah, Limitless feels like a bit like cinematic, like cinematic scale epic. Like something you can include in Hollywood movies.
Seriously, can we get NCT on like a Hollywood score or like a Hollywood soundtrack? Can we?
Yeah, Kick It, man. It's like I'm like insisting Kick It should be in Shang-Chi because like even the like references of Bruce Lee, it couldn't be any more like fitting, man.
It couldn't.
I kept on tagging like the actors like to see if like they notice. But
we're gonna try, guys. We're really gonna try to push this.
Oh yeah. If you're in the cause, come with us. Come with us on this cause for the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Please. Please. Did you have any other 127 songs you wanted to add?
Yeah, so mostly we got like a lot of things that I had covered down. I think like a couple of things I wanted to include was they're in the recent NCT 2020 Resonance Part 1. I really enjoyed like the song Music Dance from 127. It's like a really fun bop to like jam to and like grit dance. Music Dance. And from the Cherry Bomb album in 2017, I love their the song called 0 Mile because it talks about like long distance relationships and kind of really resonates to me and how I personally feel, and it kind of makes me have like this really like this theme of me longing to travel and like I go like outside of like places from my home. And like the last recommended song from 127 is from their debut album or like the debut EP from NCT 127 2016, Mad City, which featured Taeyong, Mark, and Jaehyun like rapping, and it has like this really old school like 90s vibe into the track, and it just makes me like so like so impressed in how like they were able to incorporate that 90s style of hip hop, and then they just use it to other like works even in the recent album too. So yeah, those are my certain picks from 127.
All right. And then let's get into Dream. I'm just going to go in order of how the units debuted. So we're going to hit Dream next. So these are my picks for if you want to listen to Nct Dream. Most of them are most are their hits because I haven't delved deep into Dream, but I've delved a little bit into Dream. I really do enjoy Don't Need Your Love. Kind of more of a love song, but I really do like it. We Go Up, kind of a jammy, kind of party song. 7 Days is a really, really it's a bit of a different take on them, but I really enjoy 7 Days. We Young, which is their debut track as well. And then Ridin', which is their most recent song, which is for each of them is a 6-member unit because this one does not feature Mark. But again, kind of showing that maturity of them growing, and it's a bit of more mature content, but still kind of has a bit of that innocence to it. But it's just a really more fun track to them, a little bit more aggressive, but
more
still kind
aggressive.
of that a little more, but not super aggressive, but aggressive for Dream, I guess.
Okay, so some of my certain picks from Nct Dream, going from their debut stages. I love. I just recently got into it. Called My First and Last from their album My First from 2017. I just really love the funky, more like a summer theme song. They really delve into more of the old school funk and R&B type of music with it. And going off to 2018, I actually like their song Drippin'. So that's one of their more mature, quote unquote mature content type of sound, as well with the lyrics too. They feel a lot of fans classify that as one of their Ho anthems. Ho anthems are the sexy sexy songs that from K-pop. That's what they call Ho anthems.
Again, there's a lot of Ho anthems in K-pop.
Oh yeah, you could probably have some kind of not Rookiepedia session, but some an episode dedicated to that. To those.
That would be in the summertime. We're gonna have to have a whole episode about Ho anthems.
Oh, that would have been so perfect if it's in Valentine's Day, but we might cram it in.
Maybe.
Yeah, and in 2019 from their We Boom era, I like their song when they were six members without Mark, called Boom. So yeah, like that, and it has more show how much they matured with their music. And again, with the recent one with 2020 Resonance Part 1 is Deja Vu, when they have Mark included in the track.
Yeah, no, that was, again, everything that we got from Resonance, from even all the different main units too, was really, really good. Just great.
If you just listen first with Chewing Gum and then jump into listening into Deja Vu, you can see just the evolution of how they sounded before and then after. So it's really amazing to check out.
It is. And then we'll hop to Wavy. So these are our picks for Wavy if you want to get into Wavy. It's kind of hilarious. So I always so I picked the Wavy version of Regular. So Regular is a song that was first released by NCT 127 in English, and then they released it in Korean. And then Wavy actually released a version in Mandarin as one of their first debut tracks. And I like the Wavy version the best of all three of them. So until
we get
so we get a Japanese version.
Yeah, so we got Japanese. That's what I'm about to say. Japanese version.
We get a really sexy Japanese version of Regular.
I'm waiting for that. I'm waiting for that. It's gonna be super high, highly demanded. Japanese Regular.
So I picked So I picked the Wavy version of Regular. I mean, listen to all three, but the Wavy version of Regular is really, really good. I did listen to all three back to back, and I definitely picked the Wavy version the best. Nectar, again from Resonance 2020 from Wavy is very sexy. It's very, very, very sexy. That is wow.
I'm gonna put the B movie and put the Nectar the background music. Let's see how it turns out.
No, don't do that.
Yes,
please don't.
Yes, I will.
Oh,
yes.
This has been a whole sidebar. This has been a whole thing in our friends' conversations with the whole thing with the B movies. So her doing this is just gonna be horrible. Anyway,
Hey,
back to my picks for
never.
Wavy before this gets derailed further. I also picked Love Talk, the English version of Love Talk. They have a Mandarin version they released too, but I like the English version better that they do.
You pick the demo version of Love Talk. I can hear you calling, you sexy fuck.
Oh no, God, not the demo version. Yeah, the demo version's out there on YouTube. And it's bad. But it's hilarious.
Good, don't you mean good?
Yeah, bad in a good way. Yes. Again, these men are, I will say this, they are definitely the thoughts of NCT. I also pick Moonwalk from their second mini album. That's a really beautiful song. Just really, it's like almost a rethrow in a way, but it's just, again, has that NCT magic to it, you know?
Yeah, it has it's also like another cinematic type of feeling to that song, especially when you see the video too, like really sci-fi and dramatic.
The music video for that is beautiful. I checked that out. And then the last three are all from their last full album, Awaken the World. Electric Hearts, After Midnight, and Domino. All of those are fantastic songs.
It was so hard for me to pick which ones are my favorite, from that whole album itself. And it's just need to trim down some of my list from there, and I think I'm able to pick a couple of songs that I love the best.
I know, because even I could put Turn Back Time on there, because Turn Back Time, they're single off of that. It's fantastic too. Go watch the music video, because that is crazy. But all the B-sides are not great too. Like I said, that album is not a single skip. It is go listen to Awaken the World.
I think that probably my top albums in 2020 is Awaken the World.
Yeah, I think you have put that on your top album list of 2020. So
yeah.
It's so good.
Yeah. If I could add my picks, I would add Takeoff. That's their true debut as Wavy. It's really it's really funky, no, not very funky, but it's really badass in a smooth way, especially with their dance breaks that I think that Wavy is beginning to incorporate or utilize those this really electric guitar dance breaks, especially with the 10 and lead. And the rest were just pretty much the Awaken the World track. So I have I appreciate The Only Human with Win Win, Lucas, Henry, and Yang Yang, because I like how their hip hop side and they're more of their rap ballad into the album. And I obviously put Turn Back Time as my recommended choice and Wavy.
No, I'll like I said, seriously, Awaken the World, great album. Did you have any NCTU songs that you picked, or do you mean just to throw my NCTU picks on just as a tail end?
Oh, sure. So I can do this first. Starting off from the beginning, like I said, this goes from personal experience, because this was how I was introduced to K-pop as a whole. But go please listen to the 7 Cents from NCTU. This is the very first song that introduced us to NCT. So it had Taeyong, Doyoung, Jaehyun, Ten, and Mark as the original 5. So yes, just when you hear the first sound, it's it sounds really droney and almost hypnotizing in a way. And from this was taken from the NCT 2018 Empathy album, because 7 Cents was included in it. I would also pick Baby Don't Stop by Taeyong and Ten. Another whole anthem classic.
Easily.
Yeah, easily. And I really like this song only by performed by Ten itself, himself. It's called Dream in a Dream, because it really has a really fantastical, almost airy type of feel, you are going into a dream. And I love his dance performance. in the music video because it kind of goes toe on toe with how Lay is doing with his solo work from EXO. Lay from EXO. Yeah, so I imagine like I want to see like 10 and Lay collab one of these days if they can. And my another pick from NCTU from Empathy is Black on Black. So this is the first time when NCT 2018, when they were just 18 members, performed together, and that was some of like the most badass things I've ever witnessed. Just to see how them like doing this like almost like a cheerleader stunts, and like them stacking on top of each other. It's just like wow. There's the potential of them like if performing into like one giant unit. That's something I got like so hyped up about. This is one of my favorite hype songs. And then going on to the 2020 resonance eras. So from part 1 I have Misfits, which is my favorite. Like they're like the rap line of like the whole NCT: Taeyong, Johnny, Mark, Hendry, Jeno, Yang Yang, and Sungchan, the new member, as well as Lightbulb, because it was like a personal thing with Taeyong and Doyoung, because I think they wrote this before they debut, and holds a special place in their hearts, and just goes to show how the members are able to like self-produce and create such really like meaningful like lyrics and like music. So I recommend checking out Lightbulb. So it had Taeyong, Doyoung, Kun, and Sungchan in the mix as well. And the third one I have here is like a more of like a jazzy R&B type of beat, which is Dancing in the Rain. It had some like most of the vocals from NCT doing this. It's like the most like members in the whole album, I think. And then the part 2, I have All About You, IOU, and 90s Love, which is like brings back the New Jack City type of sound into K-pop, which I'm like really like happy that they've used that, or like brought that, presented in like a new younger audience. So yeah, that's what I have for my NCTU recommendations.
Okay, and I got a couple more to add on to mine. Going back to NCT 2018, I'm going to throw on their Boss. That's just another just power anthem from NCT. That's sung by Taeyong, Doyoung, Jaehoon, Winwin, Jungwoo, Lucas, and Mark. I love that song. It's just like every time I want to just be a badass at work, I throw Boss on, and
real boss music. Literal boss
it's
music.
total literal boss music. Is great. Then one of my favorite songs of theirs that actually is actually not on an album, but it was a special release off of it was the 2019 like winter release that SM does. SM like does like some of these like one-off like winter releases. So it was an SM Station 2019 release. It was a song called Coming Home. It's a really sweet sentimental song. And it was a 4-member unit. It was Taeil, Do-young, Jaehoon, and Hae-chan. It's a really beautiful song. Highly recommend you go listen to that. And then 2 more songs coming from Residence. Part 1, Make-A-Wish birthday song. Almost like another Ho anthem? Question mark.
If you listen to the English version, that is total Ho anthem, like the night version of and like.
Are we talking the English version of Make-A-Wish?
Okay, like, the more kid friendly, the Korean version.
Yeah, you read into the English version, you're like, excuse me, but. Yeah, no, that's sung by Taeyong, Doyoung, Jaehoon, Lucas, Zhaojun, Jaemin, and new member Shotaro. That was also one of a great song. The fact that also helped them finally win as NCTU, finally as a unit on the music shows. And then my final, and then my final pick. I think a great collaboration and a great multilingual song from them, kind of showcasing. Just NCT as a general whole was From Home, which was sung by Taeil, Yuta, Kun, Do-young, Renjun, Hae-chan, and Chenle, because it was sung in Korean, Chinese, I think in Mandarin, Japanese, and English, bringing 4 different languages at once, and talking about, that kind of that homesick feeling, but finding that new home with with your found family, kind of in a way.
Yeah, and usually I would hate not really hate, but I'm not like I really skip on like the slower paced songs. But this I just really grew to appreciate and like fell in love with it. Just how just like how I like the atmosphere of like this song, and just how I was able to like relate with them, and just to see how much they just lived like in such a young age, like on their own without their families, but they able to create new ones, and like be able to strengthen themselves with like the new brotherhood of families with NCT. And yeah, I love how it brings like a bit of like the 90s R&B, like the Boys to Men, or a bit of Joe JC with that From Home. That's what it kind of reminds me of. So that's why I was like, able to enjoy that, because of like some of like the nostalgic feeling I get into other like classic R&B songs before.
Yeah, it definitely has like that definite Boys to Men kind of vibe to it, but in a very modern taste to it, and it's just a very sincere song. So it was just a great closer to Resonance Part 1, which is a great bookend to it. So those are our pick. That's NCT in a nutshell. Like, this is barely scratching the surface of NCT. Like,
if you missed, or like we're able to like catch on some of like our recommendations, we will like put up like a list, and we have like put like in our slideshow at our Facebook video version. So definitely strongly suggest you check those out too.
And like I said, we will have a playlist with all these songs available on Spotify. We will link it on our SoundCloud page, as well as our Twitter, as well as on the Facebook post of our episode as well, just to make things easier for everybody. So but with that, I guess let's plug our stuff and get on out of here, because we've been rambling long enough about NCT, I think. So
that was a whopper for us to like talk about and break down as much as we can.
Yeah. Well, I don't think 17 is going to be this long, because 13 is not as many as 23, and we don't have 4 groups you have to talk about. We just have one. So but go ahead and plug yourself, Jenny.
All right, then. So you can find me on Facebook, Jenny Liano, my personal page, or on my design works at Jenny Liano Designs. So GINNYLEANO Designs, all in lowercase in one word. And Instagram at Jenny Designs for my official works, and personal IG and Twitter with the username at RCL ARCIEL _ Imagogin. That is IMAGOGIN. All right, and back to you, Jenny.
And you can find me, Jenny. You can find me over on Twitter and on Instagram at Chaos Bulldog. You can also find me on Facebook. Just search for Jenny Matasek. That's Jenny with an I. You can also find our show page also on Twitter and Instagram at Noonas _podcast. Don't forget the underscore. We're also going to have our Spotify playlist available for the show. So check that out. Otherwise, I think that's it for this week's episode of the Noonas Podcast. I think we might have to do a Ho Anthems episode next week for Valentine's Day. I think you just gave me a really good idea as we were recording.
Plant that in your head, and you're like, dirty little mind.
You might, because Valentine's Day is coming up, and there's a whole bunch of Ho Anthems we could get into.
I'm actually glad I kind of like made like a bit of like notes of like recommended like sexy songs in case I wanted to like show it to friends who would be into that. So I'm glad I saved that up in my like my messy document somewhere.
Yeah, now I have to now I have to make a list. So great. That's gonna be again more homework for me. So I have a lot of homework ahead of me this weekend, but it's fun homework.
fun homework. And yeah, glad you guys were able to power throughout this like really long hour, and like hopefully you'll be able to like learn more about these groups, especially with NCT and BTS previously.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping these Rookiepedia sessions are educational to you guys. This was the beast because this is 4 groups in one. Yeah, because NCT is a whole massive entity. So
yeah, you know how like so they called like Super and like the Avengers of K-pop because of like different members from different groups. I call like NCT like the X-Men of K-pop in general. That's what I'm gonna call them, the X-Men of K-pop, because there's so many like diverse. Just like
that's
a
more
diverse
accurate.
set of them, and like there's so many like just like X-Men. There's so many people and superheroes in them.
Does that make Mark the Wolverine because he's from Canada?
No, Deadpool, man, Deadpool.
That's even better. I'll take that one.
Yep. There you go.
And with that, we're gonna get out of here with a fighting.
Fighting.